All right. We're excited to have everybody here. Full committee here. I think everyone saw the agenda today. This is a review of our agenda. We're going to discuss harvest event planning for fall. I attended the Beautification Commission this month, and I will report on that. They have things they'd like to do with us. Darren would like to provide an update on Utah Lake, but anybody else who has things that they would like to add on that. And then we will go through our review of the science. Okay. Do you want to start us off, Paul? See how we can use this time productively?
Yeah, so I have not made much progress on this. So Darren was able to talk to the Crandalls and sent me I don't know if anybody else was CC'd on that message.
I think I just was internally to you.
But maybe
also
you
the
could-
Wilkersons.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Didn't
I think so, I
Yeah.
believe so.
Yeah.
The Crandalls would be interested in being part of something, but they felt like Orem doesn't have enough of an orchard presence to make an Orem-only orchard crawl make sense. And so their suggestion was to make it more of a Utah County or include at least some surrounding communities like Linden and or Provo, maybe Pleasant Grove. But I wasn't sure in terms of our jurisdiction, and I wasn't sure in terms of our goals whether that makes sense. Because if we're trying to promote local agriculture, if it's grown in Linden, that's still local, and that's great. But if we're trying to focus more of our efforts on land use in Orem, then it doesn't make as much sense. So I would like some feedback on what other people think, what this event really is about, and whether it makes sense to try to bring in orchards outside of our city.
So just to provide a little bit more information, if that's okay.
Oh, of
Yeah.
course.
So I reached out to, because I had some personal connections, I think I mentioned last time.
Yeah, and I never heard from
And-
either of them,
Yeah.
so I'm so glad you did.
Yeah, I had
I've
some
gotten
personal
nothing from
connections
any.
with the Wilkersons and also with the Crandalls.
Yeah, remind me, the Wilkersons, are they the ones we toured?
Yes, the ones we toured, right?
Because they'd be a perfect fit. Right?
Well, sadly, not, because they stopped selling direct to public. And they have now gone completely, they use their produce for food banks and things like that.
Tabitha's Way.
Yeah, Tabitha's Way, right, the food pantries. So, so the Wilkersons are out, they gave up their direct sales to public. I guess this year's the first year they haven't done it. And then, and so I reached out to my friend Sean Miller, who has played a role as the agricultural commissioner for the city of Provo, and asked him about Provo possibilities, because I have that personal connection as well. I never forwarded this to you because I thought, well, it wasn't fabulous news. We get to talk about it.
Yeah.
He says, Lene firm on the bench seemed to disappear in 2018 based on a Google search. I don't think the Finch family is farming anymore. The Stubbs family is still growing and offering veggies at farmers markets, but they're probably not selling at the farm. So I could contact them, but you know, once I heard that, you know, 2 or 3 traditional farmers who sell direct to the public are out, it almost feels like too late. And the Crandalls, every time I sort of talk to them, I mean, his line is that, and he, by the way, Tim wants me to pass along how much he appreciates our support for them. They feel supported and they are very grateful for our support. And, but they just have this perfect location that makes it so that they don't need as much help.
Uncentered.
Yeah, yeah. And so, you know, I say, what can we do for you? And he can't think of anything, basically, because they just feel very supported. And if anything, a little too overwhelmed with the business that they have.
Mhm.
So they were very grateful for our support last year with the sort of their idea of selling their development rights and putting a conservation easement. And just as an update, that has not really gone anywhere because they are still sorting through family property ownership kinds of things. But based on that feedback and based on Sean's feedback, I'm just not sure that there's much worth pursuing here. I mean, I think we've done a lot of due diligence, and I wonder if we ought to allocate our efforts to other kinds of things.
You got a list of somewhere.
Yes, that was for the whole county.
No, it's just Orem City, and I sent you a list of all agricultural properties in Orem.
Okay.
Okay.
You not see that?
Did, but I thought it was the
There
county.
might have been a few outside of Orem that I included on the list just because of proximity. Though.
Yeah, I can go back and look at that again and see if there's anyone I haven't tried to contact. I've left a lot of voicemails and I've gotten no calls back.
Hmm.
I think people are either,
You need to plan the stuff in the winter. They're all too
they're
busy.
too busy right now, I think, or just like they're like, who's this guy? Is this like spam or what? I don't know.
Well, I work with some of these people up here in the Provost Farmers Market.
Okay.
It's not much better response, and I'm trying to help them make sense.
Right. Okay.
Some of them, they all have different needs. Some have found their own outlets direct to market, like what do we say was scrambled. Others already have the certain markets they attend. Others have just said, well, so you pick only now. We're too understaffed. We're not going to hire people, so just come out and pick on certain days. Sometimes it's just a matter of not being able to hire people. So, we had a vendor bow out 2 weeks ago because school is back in and they're going to find a way to work Saturday mornings. So, I mean, they all have sort of a different little unique story of why they do and don't do what.
So this is useful information. Before throwing the towel, I would like to maybe reframe the purpose. So I think we had initially envisioned this as people would come and they would eat apples, maybe purchase something. And it sounds like if there's not a lot of direct to consumer going on, that maybe that's not the right way to go. I still think it is a useful purpose to find something to do that makes people aware of our agricultural problems. And so I'm wondering if we reframe the question, how do we best help Orem citizens know and love agriculture? Maybe it's a different type of activity or a different type of messaging.
We could team up maybe with social media to highlight different properties at different times.
Or is it more like in conjunction with kind of a build up to the opening of the Heritage Park? Where if we're like, planning this gradual and then, highlight this property, highlight that property, and then it's all building up to this grand opening.
And I really like that. And so part of it could be messaging and pictures, like a little bio of our different properties. That's one option that we can share. The other thing, maybe Darren and Matt and Paul, if you want to weigh in on. Do any of these properties have any interest in people visiting?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah. I'm wondering if that's why I've gotten 0, because I talk about like we want to have like this crawl where we can visit and you can show us like what you grow and what the background. How long have you been here? Is this your family thing?
Yeah. So that would be more of like a tour,
Yeah.
rather than a farmer's market. And if I was them, I would be interested, but I don't know.
Like I said, they might be. They just haven't gotten back to me, so I don't know.
I think the Crandalls are probably not terribly interested in that. Sounds like to them.
Sounds like work. So one variation on that is if we use something along your lines of just highlighting a property with a mini bio, then if the property was interested in that post, we could say, open house this day, this morning, if you'd like to come by and see what we've done. And then they could just manage that on their own. We don't have to run. They could just choose. But so that raises the question, would anybody be interested in us promoting who they are? Or are they trying to be under the radar?
Yeah, they may be sort of happy with what they're doing.
What's our timeline for the opening of Heritage Park?
It's gonna be something.
Several years.
In the email today, that's it, 2025.
Yeah.
That was in, I think that was in the
This
news.
construction, was it 50 or 50 million gallon tank? I mean,
Yeah,
it's not gonna be overnight.
yeah.
Well, we don't, maybe what we could do is just, instead of doing it before the opening, we could just, in anticipation of Heritage Park,
Sure.
we'd like to share some of Orem's.
Right.
We do have a half dozen farmers that do come to the Orem Farmers Market. Um,
Yeah, they've that's what I've always wondered.
When I've asked, and most of them.
No,
Have not been,
there's
yeah.
only one, Fred Openshaw Farms.
Yeah.
Mine doesn't come. They go to Provo.
I think Pine was there last week, so peaches. This is last week.
They told me they didn't compete against champs. I'm told wrong.
Their Instagram said they were there.
The Pine was on the complete opposite side of Openshaw, on the other end of the market.
It's both their neighbors.
Oh.
Fred Openshaw said, well, I don't go to Provo Market because I don't compete.
Okay.
Where's that property?
It's not on campus.
I thought they were in Santa Fe. Openshaw was in Santa Fe.
Well, sometimes they have properties.
Yeah, they might have more than one.
So let me propose for your consideration a revised vision of this, which is that we don't try to have a farm bonus this fall, but we try to have a lesser intervention where Paul and Darren, and with your contacts, you reach out and say, would you be interested in us profiling you on Orem Media? What that would look like would be a picture and a mini bio of your property. And it would require you to write 3 sentences for us. And if you so chose, you could share any open house dates or anything else you'd like the public to be aware of.
Yeah.
And just ask that question and then see what happens. And then that's something that we can write up and put through channels that they don't have access to. How do you feel about that?
I like that.
You feel
Yeah, that could. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. What's the broader purpose of this? To help them feel supported and loved, so that they don't fold up business? That is a useful purpose, if that's one of the things we're going for.
To me, that's even a secondary purpose to helping Orem residents feel like this is an important part of their city.
Right.
Voted in Orem.
So, because we want Orem residents to understand their heritage, understand where food comes from. I mean, I do think that a large number of Orem, I'm just playing devil's advocate here for everyone, right? I mean, this does sound very nice, but based on the outpouring of love for Cranville, for example, and based on the outpouring of love for heritage generally in Orem, it seems to me like there already is a very large appreciation for people who are still trying to farm.
There's an emotional attachment, but there's a lack of it.
Lack of information, right? So maybe what is helpful here is to just provide people with information, get them thinking about not only preserving whatever farmland remains, but preserving natural resources generally. That might be a helpful tie-in as I think about what it is we're trying to
And
accomplish.
connecting to some things, I think.
Yes, right.
The value of different kinds of green spaces.
Right, different kinds of green spaces, not just parks, but other kinds of green spaces. I mean, I wonder if we could make this educational in the sense of this is helpful to honeybees, or this is helpful to ecosystems in the city. I wonder if we could think about it like that. I mean, maybe not, maybe that's not true, but yeah, not just where does your food come from, but the importance of preserving green space and what does that mean? Yeah.
And I think fall's a lovely time
That's
to do this.
I wonder if that's the case. I wonder if we broaden it at all. Say agricultural properties and other
Doesn't have to be yours.
other green
Green
spaces.
spaces.
Yeah, green spaces in the city. Maybe we broaden it. We say green spaces in the city. We think a little bit more broadly about that. And that could be
So kind of like
that could be cool.
kind of like humans of Orem, this would be more of a
Green spaces.
green space.
Green
of Orem.
spaces of Orem, right?
Yeah.
And they come in different flavors. They come in the bike skills track that we have outside the park. They come in they come in, I don't know, school playgrounds. They come in fields that are undeveloped or that are dedicated to. Yeah, I sort of like that. I don't know if I'm going too far beyond your.
I think we get into trouble if we just start doing parks.
Yeah, probably not parks. Yeah, maybe not parks.
So we're talking about private residents and.
Less
businesses?
well-known green spaces. How about that? Green spaces that you might not expect are green spaces. Unexpected green spaces.
Sure. I like that. I think it's a little bit of work because we have to figure out what to say about each of them. And I think we need a visual. And in some cases, we need to talk to owners to get their specific information. Sure.
So in that case, Wilkerson would be very much part of it because they are an unexpected green space. People don't know that we have this space in the middle of the city that is not only dedicated to the Halloween rides and the hay and the corn maze, but also to Tabitha's Magic.
I recently did something on social media.
You did do that, yeah. So a more sustained campaign, unexpected. Or the hospital's community gardens. People know about those a little bit, but not tons. One wonders if there's a neighborhood out there with a little community garden or something, or yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
How do we want to do it?
This is how.
I like the idea of doing it before winter.
I'd like to just throw out a suggestion.
Sure.
I capitalize off this Orem Farmers Market event. Lots of people attend.
How do we capitalize?
The booth. And then you get information out, and you're trying to get people to go to these places.
If it's desired.
Well, yeah.
You guys just
So
walk around
you get
and
a booth
ask
and
them.
you distribute information and highlight the things you want to highlight there. That's just a suggestion.
We can walk around where?
The farmer's market?
Okay, we decide that this one is not the one people.
No, but you're trying to educate people, right?
Oh, walking around to share.
So I want to walk around, I would contact them for a booth.
Oh.
And you have an audience. You have hundreds of people, maybe 1,000. coming to the market. There's option to talk to people about these issues, or these places, or a self-guided tour, or whatever you come up with, but that's just my.
The problem with that is we have to develop with, and maybe there's interest in that.
I'm all confused now because I figured you have to have time spent. It's just self-guided, I don't understand. I'm totally confused.
That's on social media.
So we're just talking about a social media campaign.
Because so we jumped from having activity to just
Yeah.
on social media.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, I think booth is a good idea. It just means that, how many hours in the farm market?
They usually 5 to 9, 5 to 8:30.
So I guess we could develop a handout, and
That's up to you, I mean, I just want.
I think that might be something that we would do next year.
I would do a bit.
You would do a booth? There you go.
I go to farmer's market.
Okay.
It'd be like an info booth. Sorry, I missed the conversation.
No, I think.
We have evolved from the farm crawl
Right.
to a green spaces of Orem fall campaign on social media, where we have a picture and a mini bio of properties in Orem that we introduce people to over, I would say, September, October, November. We got a 3-month period where we can do that. And then Matt threw in the suggestion, if we wanted, we could also share that information at the farmers market if we have the energy for that. So I guess the question for me now is the personnel question. Who would like to use some of their valuable time in doing this?
Well, my family likes to go to the farmer's market. I would struggle to be there for 4 hours straight. I wouldn't want to man the whole evening. If we want to tag team something where each of us is there for an hour, maybe 2, that seems more doable to me.
I think to make the booth work, we need to have something meaningful to share.
Yes, for
Yeah,
sure.
that's what I would wonder, you know.
And so the first piece of this, I think, is in many ways the foundation.
Mhm.
Yeah, we need to go out and gather the information and share it, and then decide if we have enough that we want to put it into a handout. We can share it.
Or there's like the water stuff you can share.
Yeah, so what we already have ready to share would be more water-wise sort of stuff. We don't really have any of this material together. And we have to get everyone's consent. And that's why I'm having like 0 luck talking to people. And so I feel like this might be something, like I think we mentioned before, maybe that's something we can do at a booth next year. If we want to try to do a booth this year, I think we just need to focus on the water-wise stuff where we already have the materials. Matt and I already put together a basic outline of a booth for that birthday thing that we could resurrect.
Let's think of a booth next year.
Yeah,
I think it requires more planning.
it does.
But I think that what we could do is we could start to use Sarah's idea of, in anticipation of Orem Heritage Park,
Mhm.
we have some Orem heritage and unexpected green spaces. Sure. I think I would be willing to be pointed to a couple of green spaces if you want to just sign. You have a comment, Richard?
And we could each find one space. I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be fun. I want to go hunt for an unexpected green space. That's what I want to do. actually.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Does anybody have 1 or 2 that could be ready to go in September? We could shoot through.
Like a farm. or what?
Like an orchard or a farm
I
or.
close to a pine orchard, I go there all the time.
Did you do pine orchard?
I don't know that.
Okay. And I think we could do Wilkerson's, right?
Yeah.
Would you be willing to see if we could get a photo and a mini bio of Wilkerson and permission?
Yeah. Yeah, like Rachel said, they just did sort of something on them on social media at Orem Cities. I don't know.
Oh,
if
that
that
was
was,
Wilkerson.
yeah. I don't know if that would be as helpful.
You know what, at UVU, there's like. some
Oh, the
agriculture.
Grit
The
Garden.
grit garden.
We could do, the Grit Garden, that's new.
Let's do that.
That's good.
But there's also, you know, if you're in the library, in this one room, you look over and there's like sheep and cows.
Oh, yeah, that space.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is surprising. I'm like, wait, what?
That sounds cool.
It does sound cool.
That sounds
I don't
awesome.
know.
I don't know
Whose is that?
I don't know. No idea.
Where's it at?
It's right by UVU.
It's like
On the
just
other side of the road.
800 south. No.
like north of.
800 south
Think
and
about this.
1,000 or so. It's right behind the Institute parking lot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love maps.
Over here.
Did we lose it, Rachel?
Oh, no, it's
Oh,
still
oh, you're
going, I'm just
Right
putting
on the
them.
map, okay.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like right over here.
Yeah, the great
Well, I guess
garden, I like that idea too. Or like the community garden.
At the hospital.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, the hospital's community gardens, I think.
Yeah.
Those are sometimes highlighted, but it's been a while, I think, since they've been highlighted.
It's over here.
Well, and I know.
And there's a
they're doing-
lot of stuff there, yeah.
They're
It's not
doing
just.
the Harvest Festival again.
Yes, that's the other thing I wanted to mention.
Who?
is I got a flyer
I know.
and I can find zero information other than that flyer.
Yeah, on
Is it
the.
this
Nothing on
Utah
the
County Academy?
website, not, like
Oh,
if you
really?
Google Orem
Down
Harvest
here,
Festival, the only
Institute
thing that comes
parking lot?
up is that it was canceled
right
in
there.
2019 due to COVID.
Right, but then it came to everybody's
right there.
mailbox, and I was like, oh, they're doing it again.
Yeah,
And it
like
had
right
a little
up.
Sebastian.
Sorry.
yeah,
So.
I know, I'm like
I think
super
it's like,
excited,
no,
but
right
I'm
there where
like,
you are.
why can't I find more information?
There's always like livestock.
So,
You
yeah,
know-
that's.
A green space that I'm stunned nothing has ever happened to is that old golf course up there. Do you know what's happening with that? What is the plan for that? Because I look there and it's still beautiful. It still looks like a golf course, but nobody ever plays on it. I mean, I see it almost,
Cascade?
yeah.
Cascade Golf.
And I'm just curious what the plans are for it. And I wonder if it's,
I thought it was so loud.
it might be like a personalized
I know
one
it was
where
bought.
like just for friends and family or
Yeah, I
something.
know that.
But I never see anybody there, and I'm there many mornings, and there's never anybody. So if they do use it for friends and family, it's very rare.
So what are the 2 or 3 we can do for September? Great garden?
Grit garden.
Fine.
Fine.
And the hospital. Well,
I don't know who to get in touch with for that. If somebody can like do that and send it my way. that's great.
Is there someone who would be willing to go hunt that down?
I mean, I can take a
I could
picture
probably
of
do
it.
that. It's kind of,
But I don't
it's
know
in
who
my
to
neighborhood.
I guess he's running it. That's where he goes to daycare.
Okay, that gives us 3 for September.
Okay.
And when we get back together in October, we can continue the conversation.
So are we open to like just people that have like a little farmstead in their backyard?
Yeah,
And
I've
I'm
seen
not
some of
volunteering
those.
myself, but there's one I walk by a lot. It says just.
Sure. If they have a green space. Okay, is there anything else on this topic that we'd like to discuss?
I have a list of 40 agricultural properties in the city.
You should send that to me.
That means they have like animal rights and stuff too.
No, it just means that there's either an active farming operation or orchard, or maybe it's an inactive orchard.
Okay.
It was a visual survey of our aerial photography,
Sure.
to whatever it looks like has or recently been in agriculture production.
So let's do 10 of these this year, 10 next year. And just make this a fall theme of ours. I think people will appreciate Orem better if they understand it, and I think that they would be better advocates for conservation.
Is, what about the wetlands that surround that other golf course? What's it called? Sleepy Ridge. Is any of that Orem?
So,
Because,
you know,
if you're not a golfer, you don't really realize the wetlands there. And they are full of birds and they're really a cool place, actually. So that might be one of my nominations,
That's cool.
That's a good idea.
is the wetlands around the golf course. I'm not sure people realize that how well preserved those are.
It's private property though, or?
No, it's, I believe all the wetland areas are Orem City.
Okay.
The golf course is Orem City or privately owned.
Like a combo, isn't it?
Yeah, I wondered about that.
The wetlands are Orem.
Yeah.
I think there was an arrangement
Yeah.
for the golf course to be managed. I think it was, but yeah, the wetland parts are Orem City.
Okay. Yeah, we wouldn't want to highlight the golf course because that's trouble, but the wetlands are amazing. I mean, really amazing.
Okay,
You're
thank
on
you.
that one?
Sure, I could be on that. Was that me? Yeah.
Yeah, that's you.
Okay, I'd be happy to learn more about them, because, yeah, that's great.
I could even do something on Carterville Road, because we have a lot of,
Yeah, you do.
a lot of nature.
You do.
Yeah, that's true. That is a nice. I think I saw like a coyote or something like that running across the road. So kind of
Awesome.
Is that what I'm missing?
There's occasionally a beaver that sets up camp along the stream
Yeah, that's
too.
true.
Yeah,
They
that's
usually
good.
relocate them.
Actually, now that they're not running water through the ditch there, I walk it. And it's up above the road. And you just have this, this trail all to yourself that kind of goes all down the road. At one point, you have to go through someone's property. It's kind of a cool place. Okay. Thank you. The next agenda item is mine, which is an update on our collaboration with the Beautification Commission. Matt and I both attended Beautification. So if you do not know what the Beautification Commission does, they meet 4 times a year. They divide up their committee assignments into different quadrants of the city, and they drive around looking for beauty
Oh,
with
actually, wow.
with,
They don't just take nominations.
with signs in the back of their car.
Oh,
And if they see a property that they think is particularly impressive, they go knock on the door and give them an award. And they give out like 40 awards every year. It's mainly residential, but they have one committee member that is in charge of business.
I think I saw a sign out in front of Juice and Java.
They did, they
Oh,
got
really?
Jason Java.
they did a new bed.
I don't know if they've done that one.
Yeah.
Did they? It's there. So it's, in many ways, it's kind of an elegant model they have, which is that they don't have to vote on anything.
Yeah.
They just go and give awards out.
That is really great.
And
Yeah.
sometimes they don't even, talk to the person, they just give them the sign. It had come up previously that one of the members of their commission said, maybe we should also celebrate water-wise landscape.
That's
And,
good.
and so they invited us in, and I think they've given a couple of beautification awards for water-wise landscape in this model. So they invited us in part, I believe, to tell us that that's our job. And that they want us to give those awards.
Okay.
But the kind of cool thing that we agreed on is they have access to a Qualtrics form. So when they go out driving around, they see something and they decide to give an award, they fill it out, they put the address, the owner if they know it. And they say, here's the reason that I gave this person an award. And they are updating that Qualtrics form to have at the very beginning a tab that says, is this beautification award or is this a water-wise landscaping recognition? And if it's water-wise landscaping recognition, it goes to their secretary who's going to send all of those nominations. And then we get to decide what we want to do.
Do they collect all of this information like on a website that can I go and see where these awards?
Not really that way. They have an internal Google map where they.
And they don't, it's not like they post it on social media saying, hey, we just gave this award
I
to.
don't know. I guess I'm not sure. I think they give too many awards. to do that
keep that
for
up.
all of them. But they do have a master spreadsheet that shows where they've given out awards. So if this collaboration works, what it means is that as they go out and they see, oh, this is kind of a new, cool waterwise landscape, native vegetation landscape, we should get that information. And then we can decide if we want 8 signs to give them out. We didn't say that they were ineligible for a beautification award. They can still give beautification awards, but we can decide how we want to recognize. So that's the model that we've agreed upon. I wanted to run that by you to see how you felt about that and if there was any modifications you want to propose.
I like it.
Yeah, this is great. It's been back in my mind for years. I'm so happy. This sounds great.
I keep seeing all these properties and I'm like, I just want to like take pictures.
Yeah.
Celebrate. There are some though that have been done very well, but they're probably not city code. They're probably a little less than 50%. And so I don't want to out them and get them in trouble, but I think they've done a nice job. They've, been very intentional with their design. And so I would hate for them to get in trouble with code enforcement.
Yeah,
Even
we could
though,
also collaborate with code enforcement. We can give them an award and then code enforcement can step up.
No, I bet we can find
Yeah.
plenty.
Yeah.
So maybe
We should be careful.
think about it and maybe next month we can just decide if we want to create signs or give awards. I have some doubts as to whether or not how long it will take for this process to really be going since they meet every 10 months. And half of the commission was not there.
Did you mention that they're gonna add option on their form?
So I wanted to give you the update on that. And I think maybe this next year we'll have more opportunities to do that.
That's great. No, full steam ahead.
Yeah, I think that's a really good potential budget item we could ask for, isn't it, for the signs? In
Yeah.
addition to our rewards that we give out.
That's a good idea. But I still like the idea of giving out an individual and a business award. But we may have more people we want to recognize. But let's just recognize it.
Yeah.
Okay, update on Utah Lake. Darren, you want to start that? Do you have anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, I don't know how in tune everyone is. I just,
Hillary should be cool.
yes.
Hillary-
I know Hillary's in tune.
what is your role, Hillary?
She's on the commission.
The authority.
The new
The
authority.
Utah Lake Authority is a representative of whom?
Governor.
Oh, congratulations, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, Hillary can tell us.
But I don't
what's-
know. There's lots of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
One of the things that's happening is that we are concerned about, or some people are concerned about Utah Lake Authority's desire to build a new headquarters. Have you heard about this?
On an island in the middle.
Yeah, on pristine property on the north part of the lake.
Really?
Yeah,
No.
yeah, so it's something to watch out for,
Yeah.
but that's,
No, we talked about meeting at the airport,
oh, interesting.
because we like a view of the lake.
Right, yeah, no,
We
there's,
We met at the state park.
yeah, right. So, and then, the biggest news was, of course, the state announcement recently that the Attorney General's office has opined that it's unconstitutional, the scheme. And that, and also the FFSL's determination that the whole thing lacks scientific merit.
I didn't hear that one.
Yes, it was the FFSL
Who is?
who briefed the,
Forestry Fire State.
who briefed the committee at the Utah State Legislature, and they had 3 points. One, the Attorney General says it's unconstitutional to the Attorney General's office. And there's some doubt as to whether
And
the
that's
Attorney
because the
General
lake
is
bed is not.
is sovereign lands. Yeah.
And that's
you
the
can't
basis for the
just,
argument.
right, you can't just give away sovereign lands.
Yeah.
And And, you know, there's some question about how final these views are versus how preliminary, right?
They're not
Is that your
final.
understanding?
That's my understanding.
Yeah, they're not final.
Mhm.
These are preliminary. And the FSSL was just representing some determination by the Attorney General's office, but the Attorney General's office was not saying that officially, right? So, but yeah, so 3 parts. 1, it's unconstitutional, says some opinion in the Attorney General's office. 2, there's not any scientific merit, says FFSL. 3, things are actually getting better and our plans are improving things. So it was a very eye-opening, kind of unexpected, from the people I talked to, presentation about the state's view of this.
Yeah.
Groups I work with are still worried about this being overturned or changed or something.
Mhm.
So I'd be
Rightly
happy to
so.
hear what you're hearing as well.
Yeah, I would say rightly so. I don't think it's over. by
Yeah.
any means, but
There's still a lot of money being spent to advocate for it, right?
it's still going through the process, right? It's an Army Corps.
So still the Army Corps, right?
Yeah, so it's not a dead proposal.
Right. Yeah. And the Army Corps has extended their deadline a couple of times now and is still assessing the proposal. And I think there's some kind of final deadline that passed in August for submission of documents, but
Yeah, my understanding is that if Army Corps or FFSL, if either one of those say no, then
right.
like officially say final decision, then
Right. That's what I understand as well. Right. So yeah, there's some good news at least, it seems like, on this, and the state seems to be. I am working with other groups to get an audience with the governor's appointed head of natural resources, Brian Ferry, I think is his name. I forget what his last name. I forget what his first name is. His last name's Ferry. He has reached out and agreed to meet with us on this, so you know, there's some good things happening. We seem to be getting good messaging out on this.
Okay. Are either of you aware of anything that the mayor or city council might want
Right.
advice on from us regarding utility?
I've been preoccupied with
Other things.
Yeah, this is
Indeed,
not
they
on
have.
this is not on the radar.
The last I heard when I talked to the mayor was that he appreciates our work on this and we should keep going. So.
Let's turn to some updates. Sarah, you had some things to report on.
Just again reporting that I've been hired as UVU's Sustainability Outreach Program Manager, and in that role, I'm working with the University Sustainability Committee, working on internal, like Sustainability Week in October and Earth Week in April, and also the May Sustainability Summit that was initiated this past year, and that will be an annual summit. And then also working just generally in the community to connect UVU and the community and expand a conversation about sustainability and ways that UVU can be kind of a hub for information about the sustainability conversations, and perhaps how students can work on real world problems with cities around the county. So I'm excited about that. Also, in conjunction with that, the Utah County Sustainability Coalition, I'm going to wrap under, and you can be host of that coalition. So that will be another avenue. And then 2 events, related events at UVU. There's the Why It Matters conference about the Sustainable Development Goals. It's the first international academic conference. Hillary will be presenting at one of the sessions.
Remind me of the dates.
October 5th through the 7th. And it's sponsored by the Office of Global Engagement that has a partnership with the United Nations. And so, but yeah, so UView will be hosting this inaugural academic conference on the Sustainable Development Goals. So that's October 5th through the 7th. And then there's the Utah Valley Growth and Prosperity Summit that will be October 27th. I think that's all of that stuff. And then the second thing I was going to report on is, remember a couple years ago when we invited some BYU students to do a landscape design over the library to talk about maybe some kind of space at the library. So a friend of mine, I learned, works at the library with the programming. And so I talked to her about some ideas that we'd had previously. Of perhaps having some kind of education center at the library or something like that. So I shared with her my document of some various ideas that have come up about events or programs that we could do. And she talked with Nathan over at the library, and there seemed to be some interest in revisiting that. At the time when we talked about it, it was all about this library expansion, and they just could not think about anything else. And so now that's passed, and they have a little extra capacity to revisit some.
They're interested in revisiting the same idea?
Possibly, because again, we were talking about that plaza in between the main part of the library and the new. There's already, planting boxes that are irrigated. And so, anyway, I'm just started to be back in touch on that. They said, we especially like the solar energy recharging station. The idea behind that was kind of like an interactive, real-time STEM project for the patrons. The Earth Day Youth Art Contest, which is something that we've done in the past, we did this year, and the Outdoor Friendly Art / Sculpture Collection, and then just ideas for some of the events that could be possible to be hosted in the outdoor space. So anyway, we're revisiting that with the library.
Thank you, that's great.
Great.
Well, do you have anything to report?
So last month I said that I have tried to get in contact with the Orem Bicycle Coalition through Warren Chandler.
Oh, I forgot, I have personal
And
connection there too. I
then
didn't check this
through their Facebook page. I've also tried to contact someone who I think is Shauna.
Mecham.
But what I'm running into is that Orem Bicycle Coalition Facebook page is not public in the sense that no one can post even a response or a comment on anything if it's not approved by the administrator. And there are two administrators. One of them has gotten back to me and said, I don't have access to that anymore, and I don't even live in Orem. And the other one hasn't gotten back to me. But someone continues to post on there. Lauren posts on there. Someone named Shauna something, but
Yeah, Shauna Mecham.
but she
Shauna
doesn't say.
Christine. It's Shauna
Yeah.
Christine.
Yeah,
It's her
Okay,
Facebook name.
that I thought that might be the same person. So it's an active Facebook page, but I can't be active on it. So and Lauren, I've tried to contact Lauren through both Facebook and email because I had his email from when we talked last year or the year before. So the same problem as I was having with farm stuff. I feel very ignored this month.
I'm sorry.
But
You always have people who care about you.
to the point, thank you, to the point of trying to coordinate with them some sort of fall bike ride that we can invite the city council on. Especially given that the last city council meeting, there was discussion about 1600 North where the Murdoch Canal Trail crosses. And basically what was decided was to go back to the drawing board, and that the status quo will continue, even though it's rather dangerous, the status quo.
They're hiring someone.
Yeah, so they're gonna look into it, but until they look into it, the status quo. So they're very worried about that according to their Facebook page. I would really like to take city council members on some of these places where we have bike paths and where we don't have bike paths and different things. I think that would be very enlightening.
We have access to e-bikes.
That would be awesome
For the council members to use.
if we could figure
That's
that
a
out.
little bit more.
I wonder if maybe Mad Dog or somebody would be willing to.
I know that There was an event a few years ago, Cycle Fest, that we did once. We had e-bikes available to test drive, and people loved it. And
Yeah.
I know that, anyway,
It
it just
might-
makes it a little bit
might get
easier.
More of the council to be interested. I think that that's definitely true. But yeah. Something.
One thing.
District down, a lot of people are friends.
Yeah.
I'm not.
One thing on this topic is that I've been talking to Matt about the potential to try to designate some of the eastern parts of Orem as neighborhood byways or bike boulevards. Which is consistent with long range plans, but maybe thinking about signage, and say this is Orem Bike Boulevard, Carterville in that area, going up connecting to the airport trail, that kind of thing. So I have a meeting on that topic this afternoon.
Awesome.
So I'm sure.
Yeah, that would be great.
Hillary, what are our social media plans for the next little bit? And
You all just gave me the plan, which is good. I'm sorry I didn't make last month's meeting. I was on the beach and Sarah texted, I was like, whoops, I forgot about that. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna do these. I was thinking about doing some things like, what can you do now to prepare for next year with your yard type things and to conserve water.
Yeah, we had talked last time, I'm just looking at my,
Yeah,
something like Lawn Reimagined, like a
Mhm.
campaign of.
Hey Matt, do you know if Pete is still doing the social media or let Karen now?
Continue to talk to Pete. Yeah, Karen, I don't know exactly how they're dividing up their duties, but Karen was hired to focus on council issues.
Yeah,
Probably
we
hear
think,
otherwise.
I was gonna, slogan I was thinking about is we want more for Orem. It's,
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
You're doing a great job.
I totally got followers over.
The stuff that you get posted is great.
Thanks, yeah. I'll do that.
Anything else you want to report or?
No, I think we're very excited to have Sarah at UVU. Super exciting. Utah Lake Authority Board has had one meeting, we meet in a few weeks again. And mostly just doing things like bylaws and stuff now. Yeah. How many people is it?
15.
Yeah, it's like, Orem has a rep on it, Terry. Yeah.
Was it like 8 cities and 7 non-city,
Right. There's
like somebody from the state, maybe?
There's Department of Environmental Quality, and then Curtis Lair from Chamber, who's the other governor.
Okay.
And then, yeah. Mike Mecham was an Orem guy. There's a couple like Orem people on it, not officially representing Orem.
Right.
But who are longtime Orem folks. Yeah. Yeah. So far, that's it. I can send, the meetings are public, so when I get the
Yeah,
agenda and the
invites.
link, I could send it out. They have you can attend in person or online.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Aaron?
I would like to blame Matt Taylor for killing the Orem Bicycle Coalition. The last,
Whoa!
Publicly on.
Dang.
publicly in this meeting. The very last time they had a meeting was on April 25th, and it says Matt Taylor of Orem will be chatting with us. And there was no meeting since then scheduled, so.
It was just so good.
It was
just-
so
it was just
good,
a mic
yeah.
drop. Couldn't top it.
My secret agenda.
No, I'm sure it went very well, but it is sort of funny. I don't think they.
Summer break, everybody.
I don't think they've held a meeting
Summer
since
break.
then.
Well,
So,
My impression is they are very loosely organized.
yes, they are.
And they've had some changes, and people move, and they
Yeah.
have not been meeting regularly, and they're hoping to try and get some stuff going. I met with them to consult on a couple trail projects and get their feedback on, yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Braden Santo was the former,
Oh, is he gone?
he moved.
Oh, he's the key.
And
That's
that
the
was
linchpin.
his project.
Explain why.
That
He
explains,
pushed it forward,
yeah.
he made it happen. So,
I mean,
There
Lauren.
was someone named Ted and someone named Braden, and they're both administrators on the site, and apparently they both have.
I think I'm
It's Ted's now.
technically like an administrator, still.
No, well then you should have
Just
Was it just
listed,
you? Okay.
and apparently they're both gone.
So I'm sending an email
Maybe there's a reason
to
why I haven't.
my three contacts to introduce you all.
Oh, thank you.
And I worked on the farms thing, obviously, but not the Lauren. So I will reach out to Lauren. They did, by the way, it looks like they held a bike ride with the Transportation Commission in June or so, which is great. The Orem
Yeah, I think I read
Transportation
that,
Commission.
yeah.
So they would probably welcome help with some other kinds of activities. So yeah, let's see if we can continue to build
Yeah.
bridges there.
Yeah, I just figured it would be more efficient to work with them rather than try to plan our own events.
Yeah.
One idea for consideration, I don't want to talk through it today, but we could have a theme over time of neighborhoods of Orem, where people bike through different pieces of Orem, and we could even work with the neighborhood commissions
Oh, yeah.
to have the person that represents that part of Orem on the neighborhood commission to talk about that part of Orem, right?
Yeah, I like
There's
that.
research of that, and then we take a little tour of it, and it takes an hour.
You know, this reminds me of who is it? Is it Aaron Stevens that's been doing this with the BST? Or is it somebody else that's doing it? He rides sections of the BST and documents it, and then
Brandon.
is Brandon?
Geography.
Yeah, yeah. We could do something similar where we rode a neighborhood and documented.
Mhm.
I like bikes and I love neighborhoods, so
Yeah.
I would be totally all for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's actually generating some traction by using this method. It's really got some people's attention. So about what works and what doesn't.
Who is it?
On the BST.
Is it like on Instagram?
Yeah, he posts these videos regularly on Instagram or Facebook or
It's on
something.
YouTube.
YouTube.
Just YouTube,
Yeah, we-
yes.
If you give me a name, I would like to invite him to come present to us.
That would be a good idea, right?
Please give me a name.
Yeah, I will figure this out.
Who on the
Maybe.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay. Is it?
Yeah, he's in the geography department.
Okay. Okay.
I am going to try to wrap this up here. The only thing that I want to share
Oh, yeah.
is that I had a chance to meet with our new water manager. There've been some changes in the way that the water administration in the city is organized. Reed Price is now has absorbed all of the water functions. And he has agreed to meet with us for the first half of our meeting next.
Oh, wonderful.
And so he has updates on the water meter rollouts. And one of the interesting things that I learned in this conversation is that water messaging does seem to be having an effect because this year to date, we are 16% down in total water usage in the city compared to last year.
That's
Wow,
great.
that's fantastic.
Yeah. He's a little bit concerned that they're not making money off of that, but not concerned enough to change.
Right.
That was actually one thing I was gonna highlight. He and I emailed a little bit a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say we should celebrate that.
Because I wanted to have that, like, because
Let's do that.
especially since we're, after this weekend, maybe it won't be so hot, like, okay, now that summer's winding down, where are we?
This is fantastic, yeah.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
So I want all of you to get to know Reed, and so he will be with us for the first half of the meeting. Rachel, we put that on our agenda
Yeah.
as the first agenda item for October 6th.
That's fantastic.
We will be meeting in 5 weeks, October 6th, okay? I would like to consider our minutes, if anyone would like to review the minutes that we sent out and make any nominations.
I move we approve the minutes.
On what basis do you move to approve that?
It does note that I was absent.
Stunningly good minutes there, actually.
You were
I like Rachel, that not only do you have a clicker for the report, but you also have it. Because people will.
I will second.
All those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed to this motion? Minutes have been approved. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor of adjournment until Thursday, October 6th?
Aye.
Aye.
They did not offer a reason, so.
Someone get out of here.
Darren votes nay. Is that right?
I'm getting a problem, aren't I? It's 6 o'clock and I don't have
Sassy Darren.
Yeah, I'll just be sassy.
The motion to adjourn has passed. Thank you.